I'm Tricia, and today I'm back to share some more stories from a little subreddit called, but we're just going to call it Am I the Alligator to keep it family friendly. If you don't know the subreddit, people post stories about whatever and ask people what their opinions are, who's in the right, who's in the wrong, etc. There are definitely stories that you think, is this a real story? So I went through looking for homeschool ones, weeded out any that I thought were a little sus, and came up with 3 stories to share with you today. Now, the first story I picked, I chose because it's been a topic that's been on my mind a lot lately. Am I the alligator for wanting my husband to cut back on time hunting? I, 26, and my husband, 28, have been having this dilemma for a long while. We have 3 children together, ages 6, 4, and 2. I'm a stay-at-home mother, homeschooling my children while also working part-time running my own business. Our issue comes into play regarding my husband hunting with what seems like every spare moment he has. He hunts duck, geese, and deer. During the fall and winter, he averages about 3 times a week. Don't get me wrong, he's a great father and sometimes takes the older kids with him. However, I can't help but feel like I'm sacrificing any free time that I could be doing something I enjoy or even spending time as a family. I've expressed my feelings a multitude of times, and I'm feeling unheard and uncared for. I am all for him having his own hobby, but at this point, I could honestly say that I don't have enough time to even figure out what hobbies I would enjoy. To give you an idea, the last time I made plans was to go Christmas shopping for our kids about a month ago. I've not had even 3 kid-free hours since then. Yet he's been hunting about 15 times since. I have 0 friendships because, let's face it, when you spend 75,927 hours with your own kids, I truly don't want to spend time with any others hanging out and playing. I want to spend time with him, but he doesn't make it seem like a priority on his end. Am I expecting too much? And then she had an edit. To be honest, I'm also dealing with postpartum and mental illness issues, which have been expressed and tend to make me dependent on him for comfort and companionship, which I'm not receiving. So before I dig into give you my opinion, I want to know, how do you and your husband handle this issue? Because I think it's a difficult one, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a homeschooling mom, working part-time or not, whatever. It's a challenge to balance. So let me know down in the comments how you guys handle it. Now, as I was reading this, a couple of things came to mind. And one of the first things that stood out to me was her comment about feeling unheard and uncared for. Because I'm not alone, I'm sure, in saying this, that when those kind of needs are not being met, everything else feels harder. And it's easier to get stuck in your head about how unfair whatever the topic is, right? Because part of that relationship, that marital relationship, is feeling like the other person wants the best for you. Whether or not you can make it happen, when you feel like he's hearing you or she's hearing you, it's easier to handle everything else because you're on a team together. That she doesn't feel that way, on top of dealing with some mental health stuff, really stood out to me and made me want to cry for her, because I know I've been there. Her kids are also really young, 6, 4, and 2. Mamas, whether you're there now or you've been there, you know those ages are a lot. That's about what my kids are spaced apart, and it was a lot. Now, I don't know why he is not making time for her to be able to go out as well. So let's just give him the best intent and say that it's what he wants, but for whatever reason, it's not happening. That's okay. Or not okay, but let's set that aside. Sometimes there is this idea, especially from spouses who are not home doing all of that stuff during the day, that, well, it's easier because I'm at work all day, but my spouse is home and can sit down on the couch and da 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 da. You're right. It's true. However, we're still on, right? Even when you are going to the bathroom, those little fingers trying to get under the doors, or mom, are you in there? Right? So yes, we are home, and there are times that we can do more relaxing and get those little bits and pieces. But we do it all while we're on call. A spouse who's working out of the home has, in theory, some travel time. And I'm not saying that people are doing that. I think it's just a lack of understanding. Because also, I, as the stay-at-home person, while I've worked a good chunk of our mothering years, I've done it from home. And I do not understand what it's like to be gone all day. That said, sometimes some spouses will use that reasoning that she's home all day to say, why does she need to go have time off? Or there's the, I'll watch the kids while you go Christmas shopping for them. I'll watch the kids while you go grocery shopping. You know what? Does that make it easier? Yeah. Is that time off? No, because you're doing all the mental load stuff of caring for your family. What do you think? Is she the alligator for wanting her husband to cut back on hunting time? Is he the alligator for not cutting back? My ruling is that she's not. She needs to be taken care of as well. And that doesn't mean he's the alligator. He just truly may not understand what he's placing on her. If he does and still doing it, well, then I've got some things. I would have, my opinion would change a bit, but they're also young, 26, 28, 3 young kids. It's a lot for their ages. So, I mean, it's a lot anyway, but I just think about how 26 and 28, you used to have a lot of marital maturing to do at those ages. Okay, story number 2. Am I the alligator for refusing to let my sister-in-law use our homeschool materials? My family and I are lucky enough to live in a fairly rural area. One of the few disadvantages of living in a rural area, however, is that there are not any preschool options until a child is 5 and can enter a lottery for a place in the one ran by the local public school. Our twins are 4, and while we would not push academics at this age, they've shown interest in reading and math. We follow a Montessori-based parenting philosophy, so it makes sense for us to use the Montessori method for these early academics. There are a lot of lovely material used in the Montessori method, and, to be frank, they're not cheap. Some are easy and inexpensive to DIY, but others are not. My nephew is 7, and his school is currently doing distance learning. To be blunt, this method does not suit him. According to my sister-in-law, the school has all but officially stated that he's going to be held back for a year. She is livid and determined to not let that happen. She's demanded the use of our materials. My husband and I said no for several reasons. 1, our kids are using the beads, regularly using the beads, which would be of most use to our nephew. 2, our nephew is rough on things, and sister-in-law is not the best about repairing or replacing them. And 3, there's talk about the local elementary school being closed and consolidated into one county elementary. Our kids would have to travel over an hour to school each day, so we may end up actually homeschooling. If we do, we don't want to have to replace these materials. Our family is torn. Some say we're being selfish and teaching our children to be selfish. Others say we're right and should not cave to her demands. My husband is a firm no, and I think I'm too torn to pick a side. So Reddit, am I the alligator? So my first thing is that the extended family needs to stay out of it. The amount of posts in this subreddit that involve extended family picking sides is just shocking to me. I'm just shocked by it, frankly. Yes, absolutely solicit opinions and thoughtful responses from people if you need help. But so many of these posts are just families being divisive and getting into things they don't need to. So that was my first thought. Now, as far as loaning things go, when I loan things to someone, I'm assuming that I'm not going to get it back. And that if I do get it back, it's not going to be in the best condition. So that I do it with a willingness about it and an acceptance that I don't know what I'm going to get back. And then if I do get it back in perfect condition, fantastic. But doing it, I'm not going to be disappointed if I don't. So that was something that was going through my head. If sister-in-law cannot afford to buy materials, and I'm assuming that's why she's asking, then there are lots of really inexpensive options for things. For the counting beads, for example, rocks, dried beans, like these are really cheap things to use. Pieces of paper, whatever. There's so many ways to think, or to so many different options when you think creatively. If sister-in-law just doesn't want to look for things, well, but maybe what she's really saying is that she doesn't know what to get. She's frustrated with the school, worried about 2020 life, and she wants their supplies because she can't figure out what to buy herself or what would be the best, in which case giving ideas would be really helpful. But without knowing the full situation and conversation, and maybe the sister-in-law hasn't really articulated it well, it's hard to know. I would say that it's nice if you can look around and see if you have any unused supplies. Offer to keep an eye out on Facebook Marketplace or such. Those are, good options of ways that you can be helpful. Because I'm always, being helpful is great, right? I think this one's pretty cut and dry, though. So what do you think? Is she the alligator for not wanting to share the supplies that they're using? My opinion is no, she's not the alligator. And her husband is not either. Is the sister-in-law? No, not necessarily. I mean, it depends on how she's demanding it. That was the word the poster used, but who knows if that's what the sister-in-law actually did. If she demanded it, well, then I think it's pretty safe to say that she could learn to use better words. But if that's not what she meant and it was more of an ask or a, hey, share them with me, well, still not great, but it's more the response of being upset that they won't that I think would bother me. So let me know, who do you think is in the right or the wrong on this one? Okay, now I saved the longest one for last, and it's also the one that I think is not necessarily the messiest, but a little more interpersonal complications. Am I the alligator for telling my husband and his ex-wife that they need to hire a tutor as I won't help educate my stepson? Okay, I've been married to my husband for 4 years and been together for 7 in all. He has a 10-year-old son from his previous marriage, and I love him a lot. My husband splits custody with his ex-wife 50-50, with them alternating weeks. They've been in talk about my stepson's education for a while, as he doesn't thrive in a traditional school environment, and they want to homeschool him. If done right, I don't see any issue with this. I expressed those thoughts, but beyond that, I didn't offer much input. He's their son, and his education is up to them. Sounds like a pretty healthy situation so far, right? I had an issue, however, when they seemed to think that I could oversee his education when he's staying with his father and I. They even commented how I'm always home, so it's perfect. But I work remotely as a data analyst. So yes, I'm around, but I'm working and not free to play teacher. Helping with homework outside of work is fine, but actually teaching? That's not my job. I told them as much and said if they would do this, either his mom will have to come around during my work hours, or they'll have to hire a tutor, as I won't be splitting my focus between teaching him and my job. I even told them I'd be happy to put money towards the tutor. They feel I'm being unreasonable, and his ex-wife even questioned if I see their son as my family, if I've got so little interest in his schooling and what is best for him. This led to harsh words on both sides. My husband actually took her side in this and told me he's disappointed in me. I love my stepson and I want a good future for him and for an education he thrives in. But I don't see why it's down to me to educate him when I work full-time, even if that work is from home. My husband is currently really upset with me, and the fact that they're both in agreement is making me question if I'm in the wrong. Edit. I'd like to be clear. They could, in theory, homeschool him properly. This isn't something they're wanting to do with no experience. You know my opinion on that. His ex-wife is a former teacher, but had to leave her job due to her health. And then there's an update, but I want to talk first before I jump into the update. Okay, so my very first thought about this was, does her husband or does her employer have any stipulations regarding childcare? And I only thought about this because I just saw someone recently who commented that she works from home, and under her work stipulations, she's not allowed to be on childcare duty unless it's an emergency. And then other people were commenting that apparently this is a pretty common thing. And my gathering from that discussion was that during COVID, there were a lot of allowances for it, but as we came out, that jobs started being a little more strict, that if you're home working, that needs to be your focus, which is fair. Like, I mean, a job's not paying you to provide childcare. So I get it. Anyway, that was my first thought was, would that even work with her job's rules? Now, as far as the situation itself, she's got a full-time job. Even if her job allows for that, that's still a lot to juggle, especially if she has to have set hours for work, and she didn't say that. I usually avoid the comment section as I'm preparing these videos, but I scrolled down and I thought one comment summed this up well. You are looking out for what is best for your stepson. He deserves a teacher who isn't busy doing another job at the same time. Homeschooling is a significant time investment. Even if he's not thriving in traditional schools, he's unlikely, If he's not thriving in traditional schooling, he's unlikely to thrive in a situation where he's supposed to be working independently, supervised by someone who's distracted by having another full-time job they're doing at the same time. I think that really gets to the heart of it for me. Like a 10-year-old, I've had 3 now. A lot of them still need a lot of direct supervision or teaching as they homeschool, especially when they're new to homeschooling, or if they've not been thriving, whether in a other school setting or in your own. Like if your 10-year-old has not been doing well, they need more direct supervision so that so that they can figure out what to do, what the parent has time to figure out how to help them, etc. Like, that's a lot to put on someone who's also working. I was also really bothered by the ex-wife questioning the poster's commitment to the family and how she sees the son. I mean, based on what the poster wrote, it doesn't sound like she has any ill will against the child. It sounds like she really wants what's best, and that means that her working from home and trying to work full time and supervise every other week is not what's best. And I agree with that. She even offered to put money towards a tutor, which I think would be hard to find to do an every other week thing, but I don't know where the ex-wife lives in comparison. She's going to school him on the week she has him. Can she not school him the other weeks as well, even if it means coming over to the ex-husband's house? Now, come back to the edit. A few hours after this post went up, my husband and I got into a huge fight, and I brought up this post and some of the answers, which led to him being angry that I shared our business online. Not entirely unreasonable, if you ask me. I ended up packing up my stuff, and after a few texts, I arranged to stay with my brother and his husband. I've told my husband he needs to sort this out and figure out an arrangement that doesn't involve me before I come home, and even then, I won't be back until he agrees to counseling together. Now, unfortunately, that was the last thing we know. I do think that there's some counseling that should probably be done, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think most of us could use counseling. But him questioning her commitment to the family and to the stepson, that bothered me more than the ex-wife doing it, because ex-wife, new wife, there's going to be some complications there. But the husband and the new wife, like, he should know her commitment and should know her enough. If he's married her, then he should be confident enough in their relationship and their family dynamics that he knows that she wants what's best. And if he doesn't, if he's not that confident, then, especially then, there should definitely be some counseling involved. So, is she the alligator for not wanting to work full-time and homeschool part-time? In my opinion, no, she's not. And I don't think the ex-wife or the husband is either. I just feel like they all need to figure out something. And if they're stressed about the son not thriving well, it makes sense that it's even more complicated for them. Make sure you leave your opinions down there. I want to read them. And click on the video on your screen. Go watch my first episode of this series, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.